Welcome to a muzzled chat. For the second time today, I feel so blessed coming out of Resurrection Day, Easter weekend, and just two amazing Lyme warriors back to back. Now, I couldn't be more excited because Tanya here is plugged into some really big things that are happening within the Lyme community. She herself has been a part of this amazing podcast that's been saving lives for years and helped directing people and bringing awareness to this horrific epidemic of a disease. She's got some top doctors and really big profile folks, and I can't wait myself to tune in. So to the content that they've created to give us solutions and answers. So without further ado, I'm just excited to hear more about Tanya's, everything she's involved in, everything she's doing on behalf of the Lyme community and the well community, everyone, health in general. But to hear even more specifically about her battle and her journey and what has helped her achieve breakthrough. So with that being said, Tanya, welcome to Muzzle Chat. How are you doing today?
I'm great. Thanks so much, James. That was a great intro. I appreciate it. It's an honor to be on here. I'm super excited. You found me, you tracked me down, you reached out because, that's kind of what I'm all about, just educating and advocating for the Lyme community.
Wow. Well, we definitely need more of that. And it's so cool how God works and how knit like all this is. I don't feel these encounters are just happening coincidentally. The fact you brought David, the author David, that came out with that amazing book I have yet to get through, but it already has resonated with me on such profound levels. And it's just cool how so many are championing like this narrative and just seeking to help others. So you even had him on. Has that episode come out yet, by the way?
No, in fact, I believe it's going to go live tomorrow.
Really?
No, Wednesday. Every Wednesday
Okay.
is when we drop our new episode. So I believe it's going to be Wednesday this week. It'll go live. Yeah.
That's exciting. Yeah. Oh gosh, where to begin? I mean, we'll dive into the details. Like let's get into what you're involved in later on in this and that. That's really exciting. And I know you have amazing products that have led to a lot of your breakthroughs that is pretty revolutionary that you want to share to help bring solutions and light to those suffering. But I think to lead into that, let's dive into your story and, just your battle with Lyme. So where did it start for you? How long ago? And yeah.
It's interesting. So I do these podcasts every week with other people, and I did my first one 3 years ago. And so just over the years listening to these people, I'm actually going to say it started 20 years ago. And to me, that's mind blowing. Like,
wow.
Really 20 years ago? So yeah, it was 2004.
Wow.
2004, I was living in Northern California. I was doing some landscaping in my yard and came in that night, took a shower, went to bed, woke up all night long itching my ankle. And so that next morning I got up, I looked at my ankle. I have this bullseye rash. And I throw all the covers off my bed. I'm like, oh my gosh, there's a spider in my bed. Never did find anything. Took a shower, went about my day. It was only a couple hours later, and this bullseye rash was down on my ankle, and I could hardly put pressure on my foot. It hurt so bad. I thought, well, this is just really bizarre. So I called my primary doctor of like 15 years. So I had a great relationship with him. Told him what happened. He goes, well, can you get in here right now? I said, that would be great because I can hardly walk. So went in there. Of course, he gave me a pain shot, right? He asked me how I felt. And I said, well, other than my ankle hurts, I feel fine. And he goes, you don't have feel like you have the flu or a fever. And I'm looking at him like, what are you even talking about? Like, this is so random.
Yeah.
I go, no, I'm fine. I just got a spider bite on my ankle. He's like, okay, you're good. You're good. He goes, but in the next week or so, if you get sick or a fever, anything is weird, anything, you let me know right away. Okay. Hindsight, I know what that conversation was all about, right?
Yeah.
He knew it was a tick bite, and he knew that the chance of me having Lyme disease was, I don't know, 50-50, who knows, right?
Right.
But with a bullseye rash, like, that's 100%. You got Lyme.
It's a major indicator, and not everyone gets that even.
No, less than, I think 30% actually get that. So I got it. I was the lucky one.
Right.
But unfortunately, very uneducated on Lyme disease, ticks. I thought it was a disease for dogs. Because I remember growing up with dogs, I just thinking back on it, like my parents would be like, oh, they need to go get their tick medicine or they can get Lyme disease. That's the only time I've ever really heard of it. And so anyway, so my doctor tells me this, and, years later, I discovered he knew what this was, all along. I mean, had he just have said, that's a tick bite.
Right.
You're probably okay because you feel fine, but at least have put that bug in my ear, because I went many years trying to figure out what was wrong with me. Had that registered in me, I possibly could have gotten diagnosed sooner.
Right.
So anyway, so fast forward 4 years. So I get bit in 2004. In 2008, I start getting sick. So it was super random. I'm left-handed, and my right elbow started hurting. So there was no correlation like I was, doing something repetitive, because it was the opposite hand that I was. So my right elbow started hurting, and it got to where it was affecting my gym days and just my overall day. And so I went to the doctor. We ended up over a long period of time. We did x-rays. We did an MRI. There's nothing wrong with my elbow. And I thought, gosh, Tanya, you're just getting old, right? And so we're talking, I don't know, what do I need to figure out my math? 52 minus 52 minus 16. So I was 36. Wow. At this time. And so I thought, I'm just going to live with it, right? Well, not much longer later, my other elbow started hurting.
Right.
I'm like, what is going on? So now I'm literally walking around with, a lot of people have probably heard of those lidocaine patches. I had lidocaine patches on both my elbows, wrapped with ace bandages to keep them on. And I looked like a complete dork, right? I didn't care. My elbows hurt so bad. So this went on, and now at the gym, I'm only doing cardio because both my elbows hurt. I can't do weights or anything like that. And I'm kind of bad on timelines and stuff like that. But, probably a year goes by, 2 years go by. Next thing you know, I'm coming home after work, and I'm like exhausted, literally like I'm doing boot camp at the gym. And I'm like, Tanya, you haven't been to the gym in a couple of months because you didn't have energy to go do cardio.
Right.
Like, what's going on? So started seeking out these doctors again. Gradually, things just started getting worse. So it went to all over body pain. It went to brain fog.
Wow.
It went to memory loss. I was going to the grocery store, and the next morning I'd go to make my coffee, and I'm like, why don't I have coffee? I just bought some last night at the store. Well, all my groceries are still in the car the next morning. Because from the time I left the store to the time I got home, I forgot I went to the grocery store.
Wow.
That got pretty expensive pretty quickly.
Right.
So then I worked at the same courthouse for 17 years, and I started driving right past it, and I'd end up in another town. Wow. And I'd call over, I'm in California. I'd call my mom in Oregon, and I'd be crying. I'm like, Mom, I don't know where I am, and I don't know where I'm going. And we kind of had this little routine down. She'd ask me what I was wearing. So based on what I was wearing, told me if I was going into the courthouse to go to work, or if I was going to go work in the office. And so it was interesting, like the kind of little things you pick up on, right, to figure out where I'm going.
Wow.
So it just was things like this. And I mean, this went on for years. And I traveled to different towns. I went to all sorts of specialists. I had DNA testing done. I had food sensitivity tests. You name it, I had it done. And it was either you have fibromyalgia, you have mercury poisoning, or you're crazy. And I got that last one a lot.
The psychological. Yep. I got, that's something that came up in the last one here too. And oh my gosh, that's so, talk about an additional challenging layer to a very challenging situation in and of itself. That's a hard one to even articulate to where people can actually grasp. That's why awareness is so incredibly important. I love how you were just walking through it all, even though, not exactly the same situations that I personally have dealt with, like that you were reflecting on, but yet you took me back on a lot of the path here that I've dealt with and the symptoms. And I know that's going to resonate with a lot of people dealing with this. And I sure hope others can see, because these are all abnormal, extreme kind of symptoms to be having. Like, so let this sink in how detrimental this disease can ravage the whole body, and then the function, like with memory and just general things. Like we take it for granted, just general function. Like, oh, continue. Yeah. You're doing great.
Yeah. So I was getting frustrated. I was getting fed up. I'm probably about 4 years in now and working very little because I just, my brain capacity, my energy, my sleep, just everything was affecting it. And, at this point, 4 years in, the first 4 years, I spent about $100,000 each year out of pocket.
Wow.
So 4 years in, I'm out about $400,000 and nothing is wrong with me. I reached out to an attorney. I tried it because I had really good health insurance. I reached out to an attorney and I'm like, hey, you've got to help me. Like, why aren't they paying for any of this? Because the insurance company was saying, there's nothing wrong with you. Everything comes back fine. So it's investigational. We don't cover investigational.
Unbelievable.
Anyways, long story. I didn't have a case, so I couldn't find an attorney to take my case. So I'm just out of pocket.
Wow.
So at this point, I was 36. So now I'm about 40 years old, and I have always been super positive, very happy-go-lucky person. Life's amazing. And I was done. I was done. I didn't want to live. I would pray to God, just don't let me wake up tomorrow. And I would be good with that.
Wow.
And I got to the point where I decided that if the doctors say there's nothing wrong with me, that means they can't fix me.
Right.
That means whatever is going on with me right now, I can't get better. And so I contemplated ending my life. And, there's a lot of things that surround that. One, I lost my older brother when he was 22 from an illness. And so my parents already lost one child.
Wow.
So then there was me and then my other younger brother. And I'm analyzing this in my head. My parents will forgive me. I'm going to take my life, but my parents are going to be okay and they're going to forgive me because they know how sick I am. That is not logical thinking. That was Lyme in the brain, right? And then the other part of that was I didn't tell anybody this for many years because I was embarrassed.
Right.
I've known, sadly, a handful of people over the years that have committed suicide.
Yeah.
And I always just thought, nothing could be that bad. How could they do that?
Right.
What a weak person that person was.
Right.
And I learned how absolutely wrong I was on all accounts.
Right.
And so it was kind of an eye opener for me to go through that, because for one, man, that was one pretty damn tough person to be able to end their life, because it takes courage.
Yes.
And yeah, you wouldn't think it was a permanent solution,
right?
But the doctors told me it's permanent. There's nothing wrong with me. You can't get better.
On depression and suicide, I think our society actually has a very toxic general view over it. And for some reason, it's having this negative impact to where people are sweeping it under the rug, more so feeling comfortable talking about it, maybe due to the psychological view of it, where we keep chalking it up like, once again, this individual is the issue to this present negative situation. And it's like, what? Once again, it becomes like this double negative, for lack of better words. But the more I've understand Lyme and so many of these conditions on like the other side, it's wild. From being in that same situation and having any type of breakthrough is like, wow, I'm not even close to a suicidal being. Like, wow, that's actually, I'm like, that illness is just that impactful. It's hard to describe, but now I have all the grace in the world, where it's like more than Western medicine and SSRIs and pharmaceuticals. Like, in my eyes, like I feel like so much has it wrong, where acknowledging like that's just not a natural state of being, that there's, there clearly was toxins involved, disease, spirochete, hormonal level imbalances, nutritional issues, spiritual issues, emotional state. But so much of this is just ramped up solely due to this horrific disease. So it's like, when that gets addressed and kind of eradicated just to an extent, like that just solves the whole puzzle. But so many people are trapped because they're made out to be the freaking issue. It's so our societal lack of understanding, and let's call it for what it is, laziness. It's easy to point a finger and just make someone out to be their own issue, then draw near, seek to understand, provide solutions, educate oneself, come up with options, like do a deep dive and show up and actually fulfill what it means to be loving and supportive. And we can excuse ourselves and a lack of support or whatnot. Like, I don't know, just try to go the psychiatrist route, which with this type of situation, it's entirely a Band-Aid. But I think there could be a total overhaul on depression and suicide, where we could champion these very strong individuals. Strong. Like, I can't imagine, like, it takes a lot for someone to do that, like a strength that it's hard to kind of, once again, articulate. We could easily chalk it up as like, oh, cowardice and not a solution. Clearly it's not a solution, but there's something so impactful that like we're not taking the time on to understand and acknowledge. And that's where I think our societal and Western medicine has kind of indoctrinated us to perpetuating this issue and magnifying it than actually getting to the roots and more positively. There's just so much to unpack right there. Like, I almost found myself going in circles with it, but
no, there is. And, like I said, I didn't ever bring it up for many years because I was ashamed. I was embarrassed.
Right.
I didn't want people, and not that I was really somebody who cared what people thought of me.
Right.
Although I wanted them to think I was a good person. Other than that, I didn't care. and I was embarrassed. And over the years, after I started getting involved in the Lyme community, I'm like, this is a serious problem. Like this, I need to share this.
Right.
I'm about as open and vulnerable as anybody can be. Right.
Yeah.
There's pretty much not anything I won't admit to or talk about. Nothing's off limits with me. I'm super passionate about this illness and helping people in this
Right.
community, because I know that there's some listeners out right there right now, and they're contemplating ending their life. I know
Right.
there is, because it's a horrible disease. And I'm just here to tell you that really is a permanent solution. And it is. And I don't care what the doctors are telling you right now, you can get better.
Yes.
You can 100% recover from this.
And
So
it's worth it.
don't give up.
Yeah.
Reach out to me, reach out to anyone. We are here to help you and listen to you. So anyway, so I kind of go through this whole, I'm done. I can't do this anymore. And oddly enough, the reason I'm still here, a lot of my journey, I give, the grace to God.
Mm-hmm.
But my niece and my nephew, they're like my kids. I was not fortunate enough to have children. And so they are like my kids, and I'm very, very close to them. And I got to thinking that there's no way I could just abruptly leave their life. They already lost their uncle, my older brother, that they have never even got to know. But we keep his spirit alive. We have his pictures around. We talk about it all the time. And I just thought, I can't do that to them. I would not want to hurt those children like that.
Wow.
And so I owe my life to them.
Wow.
I owe me not taking my life to them. So anyway, so I get through this. About this time, I think I finally was able to get into a pain management clinic. They believed me enough that they would give me, I was on fentanyl, I was on morphine, I was on Dilaudid, you name it, I was on it. And I was the type of person who never took an aspirin for a headache. Wow. And so pills were not my idea of anything I wanted to be a part of, but I had to get through my day, and I didn't know how to do it. So that alleviated probably 50% of the pain. So it made it tolerable to be able to get up and go to work. Next thing you know, now I'm starting to pop sleeping pills because I can't sleep. Right. Now I'm on SSRIs, I'm on Klonopin, I'm on Ativan because I have anxiety. I have my first anxiety attack. I literally call 911. I think I'm having a heart attack and dying.
Wow.
Well, come to find out it's an anxiety attack. Well, I've never had one before. So, now I'm on all these pharmaceuticals, and they're just band-aiding whatever's wrong with me, continuing to go to all these doctors, not getting any answers. My primary doctor called me one day and he says, "Hey, I see you on the receptionist or whoever called, and I see you're on the schedule tomorrow for an appointment. What are we seeing you for?" "You're seeing me because I'm in so much pain. I can't sleep. My brain doesn't work. Like I'm going down this, right?" And she goes, "Well, we've already seen you for all of that multiple times, so I'm going to cancel your appointment."
Really?
And I thought, you have got to be kidding me.
Wow.
So anyways, I search out other specialists. I do all these other tests. And now I'm about 6.5 years into this. And I was I had a corporate job, and I also owned my own legal business. And I was in court one day, and the judge asked my name and who I represented, and I didn't know my name. And that day, I'd never been so embarrassed in my life. I got home that night. I called my mom in Oregon, called my dad, who was a few hours away, and I said, I'm done. I'm tapping out. I'm going to give notice. I'm going to quit my job. I'm going to phase out, close my business. I'm going to, lose my home. I'm done. I'm going to move back to my hometown. If I don't figure out what's wrong with me, I seriously think I'm going to die.
You attributed around, I believe it was around this time, and I believe it's just a powerful thing to grasp as well, like this big hit and deterioration relating to like trauma, like emotional events in life, and how it triggers. Is that something you want to touch on later regarding this disease?
We can do it either or. We can do it. We can touch on it a little bit both times.
Okay, that'd be great.
I think that Emotional trauma is huge. And so after I share my story, I kind of want to touch a little bit on how that affects us, how that inhibits us from getting well or staying well.
Right.
But yeah, so I believe that many people out there are walking around with Lyme disease, but it's dormant in their body because their immune system can fight it off.
Right.
And so obviously mine was for 4 years. I thought, I had recently gone through a divorce right when I got my tick bite. But I still didn't get sick for 4 years. I opened up a legal business. I was pretty much a workaholic. Freshly divorced. What else am I going to do? Let's just work 7 days a week. That sounded like a great idea. And so I attributed that to me being a workaholic and just running my body down. Well, like James mentioned earlier, I co-host a weekly podcast. Mm-hmm. And I want to say it was about a year ago. I just had a guest on and something triggered in my brain. And it was just super weird so in my I didn't get married till I was 30. And I remember being in kindergarten and my teacher said, okay, Friday we're all dressing up, dress up what you want to be when you grow up. And I dressed up as a mom. All I ever wanted to be was a mom. And so it's just something I'll never forget. My mom had a daycare growing up, so I was around children all the time. Like, I just adore children. And so I got married when I was 30. My husband, had 2 young kids. I'm like, you want another kid? Because if you don't, I'm out. Like, I need to have my own kid. He's like, no, we're good. Let's have a child. So get pregnant. And 5 months into my pregnancy, I lose my baby. I was so far in that you just don't have a miscarriage. I actually had to have surgery to have the baby removed. Wow. Very traumatic. Ended up with some female issues. That was when I discovered I had the MTHFR mutation. I think that played a little bit of a role in it. Anyways, I got to the point where I had to make a decision to have a hysterectomy to be healthy or continue to go through what I went through to have a baby. And I chose the hysterectomy route for a couple of reasons. One, I was in so much pain. I had about 5 or 6 surgeries over 2 years to correct my issue, and it kept coming back. So I was losing work. It just was a huge thing. I'm like, I can't do this. I need to be well. And losing the baby was very traumatic. My husband and I were having some issues. I base him on that. And I thought, I don't want to have a baby and a broken home, like just all these things, right? So I had hysterectomy. So I can't have children. And that is something truly I struggle with every day. I got to go to a friend's house. Yesterday was Easter. I got to go to a friend's house, be around her kids, do the Easter egg hunt. Like, that just fills my heart with joy. It really does. But there's, part of me that just, that reminder. And I know it was God's plan. I believe it. I wasn't meant to have a child. I haven't figured out why, and that's okay. And so that is why my niece and my nephew are so, so precious to me. And that is why it was them that stopped me from taking my life. That is how close I am to them. So I believe what happened was about the time my symptoms started showing up was when my brother and sister-in-law started having children. So I got to be at the hospital. I actually got to be part of the birthing of my first nephew. And then a couple of years later, here comes my niece. And I never attributed it to that before. But the timelines line up. Maybe it's a little that, maybe it's a little workaholic. Don't know, but I just thought it was really interesting. And that just really goes to show that emotional trauma, whether it's physical or emotional, it wreaks havoc on us. It does.
100%. That resonates so profoundly with me, and I'm sure so many others, whether they in fact are dealing with Lyme or not. I mean, the simple fact, like, these life experiences could impact us so gravely, it literally triggers the fight or flight response within us that suppresses our immune system and leaves us entirely vulnerable to these parasites, diseases, toxins, poisons, cancer, everything. And I believe with Lyme, it just has a magnifying layer to where we the traumas actually become like harder to overcome. Like it's they make too good of companions, and it just makes kind of oversized hurdles that seem insurmountable.
Yeah. And then just that alone, right, is huge.
Yes.
And then you add Lyme into your brain to where you physically can't get through the emotional things because your brain is messed up. Like, it really seems insurmountable, right?
Right.
So anyway, so now I've come home, I've called my parents, I said, I'm done. If I don't figure this out, I'm going to die. And I truly believed that.
Yeah.
So I moved back to my hometown, which was a few hours away from where I was living. And I started the search. And it was a good thing I moved back to be closer to my family, because now I'm at 7 years. I ended up bedridden.
Wow.
I had a caregiver and I didn't know my name.
My God.
My dad would come over every month and pay my bills because I didn't know what a checkbook was. I had Post-it notes all over my house. Brush your teeth, drink water, random things, right?
Wow. I get it.
And the notes progressed as my illness progressed. But yeah, so anyway, so I discovered that my pain doctor, I owe all of this to my pain doctor, which was back in the other town I lived in. She had told me for a couple of years, I think you have Lyme disease. And I said, well, they tested me 3 times and I'm negative.
Right.
And at the time, I don't believe we discussed how inaccurate the testing was. All I know is that I'd been tested 3 times and I was negative.
Right.
And she says, well, I got this great doctor down in San Francisco. So I called him up. So I moved back. I'm 7 years in, living in my hometown with a caregiver. Call up this doctor, and it's like $5,000 to go see him, to get the test done, and to find out if I have it. And I am tapped out money-wise. I'm 7 years in. I'm out about $700,000 right now.
Wow.
And I don't even have a diagnosis. And I thought, like, how am I going to get this done? Like, Tanya, normally you're pretty intelligent. Figure this out. So I called IGeneX Lab in Palo Alto, California, which, by the way, IGeneX and Armin Labs in Augsburg, Germany are the only 2 labs I trust for Lyme testing. Just an FYI for those listeners out there. There's some other good ones, but those are my 2 favorites. So I call up IGeneX and I explain my situation, and they say, oh, no problem. Pay over the phone. I think it was around $1,200. Okay. We'll send you a test kit. Go get your blood drawn and mail it in, and we'll give you your test results. And I thought, now this I can do, right? So pay over the phone. They send me the test kit. Now I can't get anybody to draw my blood. And I'm like, are you kidding me? Well, randomly, I just called the hospital, and sure enough, they're like, sure, come on down. So I go in there and they're like, oh, we'll even mail it off for you. And I'm like, this is great. So they draw my blood. They mail it off to IGeneX. I can't recall how long it took. I get the test results in the mail, and I didn't need to be a doctor or a scientist to figure out that I had Lyme disease.
Wow.
And so that was how I got my diagnosis.
Wow.
I called up my pain doctor from the other town and told her what I, just transpired, that she was right. Thank you. And we kind of went over it over the phone, and I was not CDC positive, which, is a whole nother problem in the Lyme world. Yep. So,
Defective.
There's all these cases that get reported every year, and mine wasn't even reported, and I have Lyme disease. So most people aren't CDC positive. Anyway, so I get my diagnosis, and now we're 2018. So I'm 7 years in. Very, very broke. I hadn't worked in almost a year. Can't get disability because nothing's wrong with me. I think at this point I had applied for disability and I got denied. I had to hire an attorney.
It's crazy.
And got denied, and then we appealed it. So it took 3 shots. I finally got it, but it took 3 shots, 3 years.
I often wanted to file for disability because it got so bad and bills were so overwhelming. But you want to hear something funny? Too disabled to file for disability. I didn't, time just went on. Days, weeks, months and months. Never even tried. Because I was too disabled.
It's crazy.
Wow.
It's crazy. Fortunately for me, I was in California. There's a handful of states that offer state disability. State disability is super, super easy to get.
Wow.
You basically have a doctor say, well, she says she's in all this pain, like she can't work. You submit that in and you just get approved. Huh. But it's only in like 5 states that offer state disability. So if you're in a state that offers state disability, look into it. Super easy. Anyways, you can get paid for about a year. So I went through that year, and then now I'm on, year 2 and no income for 2 years because I didn't work for 2 years. So this point, I have my diagnosis. What do I do with it? Like, I'm super excited. Somebody's finally acknowledging that something's wrong with me. And then I kind of look into what Lyme disease is, and I'm like, oh, I'm not so sure I want to have that.
Yeah.
But anyway, so I did my due diligence. I searched out 2 places. I went to very well-known Lyme literate doctor, Dr. Raphael Stricker in San Francisco, California. Fantastic guy, fantastic doctor, has done a lot for the Lyme community. Nothing bad to say about him. And then I went to an alternative clinic outside in Reno, Nevada. And so I went and I met with Dr. Stricker, really liked him. Couple hours from my house, insurance would pay for part of it. Just like sounded kind of easy breezy. But it was all antibiotics. And honestly, 1, I wasn't sure my body could handle IV antibiotics. I was that sick. 2, although I liked the doctor, I didn't have a lot of confidence in these white coats anymore. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like for 7 years, they've been telling me nothing's wrong with me. And so did that, went to Reno, Nevada, did a consult with this doctor. Pretty much the first 6-week program was $20,000 to walk in the door. Like it was, I'd have to, temporarily move there, rent a house, have a caregiver, like just a lot. Right.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I can't do that. And I'm talking to my brother and he's like, well, what do you want to do? I said, well, I want to go to Reno, but I can't. Like, it's not feasible. Anyways, we made it happen. So I chose the alternative route. And let me tell you how weird it was just getting outside my box, because when I was young, I was sick. My mom would take me to the doctor. The doctor would give me pills or antibiotics and I'd take them and I'd go home and I'd get better. Right. Like that's how we're raised.
Yeah.
And so when people are starting to do magnetic testing on me, they want to give me just random IVs. They want, like, it just was weird, and I got introduced to lymphatic drainage. I got introduced to colonics. I got like just all these things I never heard of.
Right.
Fantastic clinic. Sierra Integrated Medical Center in Reno, Nevada. Dr. Fong truly saved my life. Truly saved my life. The majority of our treatment was hyperthermia. So they raised my body temperature intentionally every day up to 106, 107. Would shake in convulsions, would have to bite on something so I didn't bite off my tongue.
No kidding. Wow.
Would do this for hours on end. Take Advil, do ice packs on your body, get in the bath, get your fever down. Try to eat something for dinner, go to bed and do it all over again. So I did this for 6 weeks and getting ready to go home. I still feel like crap, halfway through. I'm like, my mom moved down from Oregon to be my caregiver. I'm like, Mom, I can't do this anymore. She's like, yes, you can. Yes, you can. You have to do it. And you know what I want to say? I created a Lyme page, a private Lyme group on Facebook when I started my treatment. Not when I first got sick, but when I started my treatment. And I did it for one reason, and that was to keep my family and my, close friends in touch with what was going on, how my treatment was going, because I didn't want them to try to blow up my mom's phone. How's Tanya? What's going, you know what I mean? I thought, let's have this forum and just put on there every day. And my mom made me post on that page every single day. And I didn't like it at the time, but looking back, it was the best thing, because it just gave me kind of that accountability that I needed to have when I wanted to give up on everything. And it gave, everybody out there that was, loved me and worried about me, it gave them an update every single day. I've got some very raw videos on there of me crying, screaming, cussing, you name it. Like, I was very, very vulnerable with that.
Wow.
So I'm getting close to my 6 weeks. I'm feeling like crap. Doctor says, okay, well, when you go home, you're going to do this home care. You got to give yourself shots. And I'm like, no, I can't do a shot. I got to give myself a shot. And they're like, yeah. Okay, you know what? I'll pay for a nurse to come in and give me a shot once a day. Like, no, you got to do the shot like 6-7 times a day. And I'm thinking, oh, I can't really afford that. We're going to teach you how to give a shot. And I'm like, okay. So here I am. I guess when I'm a kid, I'm thinking if you go to doctor school, they're going to give you an orange and you shove the shot in the orange to practice. No, not how it worked. Let's draw it out of the vial, just stick it in your arm. I'm like no practice? Like, what are you doing, Yeah. And it just kind of goes to show that when you get so desperate, you're so sick, you'll do anything to get better. So I gave myself that shot. I did it every day. I did it in my arms like 7 times a day. I did one in my butt every day that burned like you just got stung by a million bees.
Right.
I cut my diet down. I gave up grapes. I gave up coffee. I gave up soda. I gave up seafood. Because I had mercury poisoning. Like, I changed everything. But you know what? I had to. And it wasn't permanent. It sucked. Absolutely did. Here you want me to go to this clinic and raise my body temperature to 107 and shake in convulsions. And then you can't give me my one joy of the day, my coffee in the morning. Are you kidding me? Like, you're going to take that away from me? It sounds silly, but when we have nothing to hold on to, it's like,
yeah,
come on, like, that's kind of brutal. But again, this is mostly for the listeners out there that are battling or anything, and the doctors or whatever it is, whatever the reason is, you need to change your lifestyle. It's worth it. The other side is so amazing. Everything I went through is so worth it.
Wow. Yeah, it's wild. The links we will go to. Like, you despised needles. I still do. It's like, as a man, I'd rather just snap my pinky. Just pop it back in. Like, that to me over a needle. Now that's kind of nonsensical, right? But now I self-administer shot twice a week. I've administered multiple IVs on my own, landing the veins and sitting there for hours on end with a needle in my arm, like administering it all myself. Coffee enemas. I mean, you name it, just lots of things, right? And
it's amazing. It's amazing when you're pushed up against the wall, exactly how strong we really are.
Right.
It really is amazing.
Well, there are some breakthroughs now too, and I think bigger things are right on the horizon too. Like, minimally, if people could it's just all about taking subtle little additional steps. And minimally, those sacrifices right out the gate on the water and then the intake, like food and nutrition and detoxifying the body, those are pretty feasible, affordable things to do. And it's like non-negotiable. It's just, you do them, give it time, and that should give you enough resilience to add another step. And it's just a slow progression. But it's so worth it. I know in the moments it seems like it could be too overwhelming. Like, and I'm still at a place where even my nutritional, I'm still pre-ordering from a source I feel comfortable with a lot of my meals. But now that I'm going to transition more on the carnivore, and I like the elimination side of the diet to really pay attention, that just means like I'm going to need to put time and energy and effort into preparations, and that to me is like daunting, because I'm one of those that for years has purchased really good, and it tears me up inside when I'll miss the cooking window of some good chicken or beef or something, because I'm just too dysfunctional to meet that window, and food spoils. So yeah, it's hard.
It's tough. It's going through this Lyme journey was literally like a full-time job.
Yes.
Once I got my disease and I had to take all these pills round the clock and do these shots, and you can only have certain foods, and, like, it's just this whole process.
Mm-hmm.
I did colonics like 3 days a week for, I think, like 2 years. I did lymphatic treatments. It was just a process. And, if I have any regret during my journey, one is that I would have gave everything up sooner than I did. I wouldn't have fought for 7 years trying to get through the day, working, living my life, because I think I would have got better sooner. I just got so sick because I was stubborn. In my head, I'm like, the doctors say I'm fine. Like, I should be able to push through this. Is it in my head? All of this. So that is my biggest regret. And then my other regret is that I didn't advocate for myself sooner. I trusted the doctors, and I shouldn't have. And I don't want to badmouth all white jackets, all traditional doctors. By all means, there's a time and place for them. If I have a heart attack, please open me up and fix me, like, I'm in.
Right.
But when it comes to just standard health and our care and most of the treatments, like, I'm going to figure out an alternate way to do it. And I have Lyme disease to thank for that, because if I didn't have Lyme, my eyes would not have been open to this holistic world, which is truly the world that I thrive in. Like, that's where I'm meant to be. I know it is. So anyway, it's kind of back to my journey. Go home, I'm doing all this stuff, and the notes around, the Post-it notes around my house are getting worse, because I need a reminder for everything, my girlfriends would come over and give me a bath. Well, I'd have to do it in my swimsuit and be in the shower, and they, help bathe me, like, just really bad. And, some of the highlights of my days would be when my girlfriends would come over and ask what they could do for me that day. And I said, I really just want some clean sheets on my bed. And they put clean sheets on my bed, and it just felt amazing.
Wow.
So it was just little things, that I tried to find the good in. And I know that when we tell you that there's always something good to find, there really is. Find what makes you happy, whether you can go sit outside and listen to the birds or look at the stars, or there's something out there, there just is. And so anyways, I had gone through, about a year of home treatment, had to go back to Reno a couple times for a week at a time to get more treatment, doing my home things at home, my shots and all this stuff. And then lo and behold, I get my disability approved. 3 times, 3 years, finally got approved. And Lyme disease was on there for those of you interested in disability. So I had, just kind of a vague memory of it. It was, my ailments that were listed was Lyme disease, fibromyalgia, mercury poisoning, chronic fatigue, IBS, cognitive issues, depression, probably a couple more. So what did I get approved on? I don't know, but those were the things that I threw in the pool for it. So get my disability, and, I'm a year into treatment. I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm going to get my life back. Like, this is amazing. I'm still pretty sick, but I thought, I'm going to get my life back. So I'm going to start over. I'm going to buy another home, right? So I buy another home and finish 2 more years of treatment. About a year further into it, I was really starting to feel good. And so I was venturing out into the Lyme world. And that is when I became part of a nonprofit, the Lyme Center. And that was probably 2016, I guess. Became the vice president of that. We, over the next 6 years, I, put on many medical conferences, fundraisers, educational seminars, just all sorts of things, just to spread awareness, to raise money, to give back. I paid for, not me, our nonprofit paid for many people to get testing through IGenics. We did a testing program.
Wow.
It's pretty amazing. So now I'm 3 years in thinking, gosh, I'm this might be as good as I get. And I was okay. I was still sick and probably could never work again, but I was okay. And the town I lived in, the home I repurchased as my starting over home, the whole town burned down. So I drove through the fire in my pajamas with my dog and my purse. 20-minute drive took me 5 hours. I called my family, said my goodbyes. There was no way I was going to make it out alive. Obviously I did, by the grace of God, for sure. Anyways, that trauma triggered my Lyme, and I took a lot of steps backwards. Wasn't back in bed, but I got sick again. Anyways, 20 days later, I relocated to Boise, Idaho. Never been to Idaho before. My little brother moved here previously, and I thought, there's nowhere to live down here. Let me get out of Idaho and see what happens. And so then I come up here, and I'm trying to think of some of the things I could order on Amazon. I need some silver. I need all these things because I don't have any of my Lyme meds, right? I lost everything, all my shots, everything. My house is gone.
Wow.
Anyway, so I find a local doctor up here, and I start treating with her. Fantastic doctor. She was very upfront and open with me that she didn't know a lot about Lyme disease. And after our consult, she's like, I think you know more about Lyme disease than I do. And I said, well, I appreciate your honesty. I just need your modalities. I just need your office. And she goes, have at it. Right.
Wow.
So about 3 months in, $15,000 later, whatever it was, I'm getting worse. And I thought, well, this is just bizarre. Well, then I met my current doctor. Well, because I was contemplating going back to Reno, Nevada. For treatment. But, here I just lost my house. I'm trying to reestablish a home and furnish a home. And it's just a lot going on. And so then I met my current doctor. And the reason I wasn't getting better was he detected Babesia. I had never had Babesia prior. And so I was having all these dizzy issues, this air hunger, all these new symptoms. And so I wasn't even sure it was Lyme. I didn't know what was going on. Anyway, so did 3 more years of treatment with my current doctor, and I got in remission. No more Lyme. Do you mind
sharing that clinic or that doctor?
Absolutely. It's who I do my podcast with, Dr. Carl Felt from the Carl Felt Center in Meridian, Idaho.
Wow.
So yes, you had mentioned in the beginning, I've got a podcast. It's called Integrative Lyme Solutions.
Okay.
And that is the podcast me and Dr. Carl Felt do. I call him Dr. K. It's easy.
Dr. K.
We do our weekly podcast. We've been doing it for about 3 years. So when I initially went in and met him, I guess about 4-ish years ago, we just kind of connected. And, I told him that I had been running a nonprofit. I met a guy online from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, on one of the Facebook groups, and him and I just kind of resonated with each other, and we just wanted to give back to the world and help the world. Right. So we kind of partnered up. We started a Facebook group called Lyme Conquerors, Mentoring Lyme Warriors. For a couple of years, we did some Zoom calls. Anybody could call in. We could give you tips on how to detox at home. You want help with a coffee enema? We can walk you through that. Let's walk you through, the mental health aspect of Lyme. Just whatever we could do to give back. So the group is still open, up and active. We have not been doing those particular free Zooms for about a year. But the group is there if you want to check it out. We try to keep it really positive. It's okay to have a bad day and vent and ask for help and support. But then the next day, you better put your big boy pants on because you're going to fight again. And if you want to be the negative Nancy on our page every day, sorry, we don't want you here. We need hope and inspiration. And the forums on Facebook are fantastic. They were a lifesaver for me when I went through my journey. But what I've discovered is that some of them can dig you down deep and take all of your good energy from you.
Right.
There's a lot of negativity. There's a lot of people that think they can't get better.
Yeah.
There could be a lot of drama. So pick and choose the groups you want to join. And like I said, that it was a lifesaver for me. It truly was. I needed that support. but you can also have bad support. And so
Right.
be aware of that.
Wow,
and you don't need to be on 10 groups. Pick one or two to be on and focus on those.
Such good advice.
Yeah, because that was huge. We need that emotional help, but we also, talking about emotional trauma, I believe that part of getting well and staying well is the emotional trauma that we go through with Lyme disease. It's like a roller coaster. And unfortunately, I've seen a lot of people, I've got almost 200 episodes on my podcast, and I know of a lot of people that have shared their success story with me that are sick again.
Right.
Maybe not as bad as they were.
Wow.
But they're having problems. And I attribute that to a few things. And I'm just going to share strictly my opinion. One, they didn't get to the root of the problem.
Mm-hmm.
Two, they're like, oh my gosh, I got my life back. Let me live my old life. So now they don't care about, triggers or diets or what they put in their body or what they put on their body or, they just don't care. They don't take care of themselves. And then the third is physical and emotional trauma. I think will draw you back every time.
Every time.
Unless you have a strong foundation. And that's the key. So now I'm going to kind of back up again. So 3 years ago, March of 21, I got Lyme free. No more Lyme in my body. I still had chronic pain. I was still on all those opioids I was on. I hated it, but it was how I got through my day. I got regular injections, steroid injections in my back, regular opioids, on sleep meds, still on anxiety meds, had gut issues, had a little bit of brain fog, had a little bit of fatigue, as in if I, got up and took a shower and went about my day, and I did that for like 3 or 4 days in a row, I would have to have a down day. I would just need a pajama day all day long in front of the TV to recoup my body. Like I didn't have that much stamina or energy.
Yeah.
What else did I have? Just had some issues, but I thought my Lyme's gone. I think this is damage from all the years of being sick. Maybe it'll get better. Maybe it won't. I don't know. But I had my life back. I knew my name. I could drive. Granted, it was hard to, clean house or go to the grocery store because I was in so much pain, just to physically walk and do those things. It was a chore, and it was definitely life altering, but I was still very, very thankful that the Lyme was out of the picture as far as being in my blood. Right.
Mm-hmm.
So a couple months later, I get diagnosed with breast cancer.
Wow.
And so 13 years of Lyme, I'm well, and now I have breast cancer. And if you ask me, I think there's a correlation between Lyme and breast cancer. That's for another episode, right?
Right.
And so lucky for me, my doctor, Dr. Carl Felt, he specializes in Lyme and cancer. So that was a win-win for me.
Right.
Of course, I had the surgery to have the tumor removed. I declined all their, 5-10 years medication, like all this other stuff that they wanted to do. I'm like, I'm out. Like I'm out. You're lucky I let you do surgery on me, right? Like, cause I'm not trusting you doctors anymore. So I did that. Anyways, about this time, I got turned on to a technology. It's a photobiomodulation technology, and changed my world. So I just previously mentioned I had, the pain, the sleep, the brain fog, the gut issues, the MTHFR mutation. I had some, I had a paralyzed throat from when I was 20. Like I had some other things too. Anyways, for almost 3 years now, I am 100% symptom free.
Wow. 3 years.
I have zero pain. I have more energy than I know what to do with. In fact, I can't even take a nap. That's my only downfall. I'm like, I got used to them naps when I was sick. I can't even take a nap. I have so much energy. I'm back at the gym 4 days a week. I have my life back. I can do anything and everything I ever dreamt of wanting to do. I feel like I felt when I was in my 20s.
Wow.
And I owe it all to this technology. If people are familiar with how our sun operates, so a lot of people think our sun gives us vitamin D, and the sun does not have vitamin D. Sorry to share that with you. What happens is you go outside and you've got the sun, and the sun sends a light wave to your body. That light wave is a specific wave to activate your own vitamin D.
Wow.
So our bodies make the vitamin D, but we use the sun's energy to send a light wave to produce the vitamin D. Like perfect science, right? So that is how this technology works. We are using our own body's energy. And what we're doing is we're activating our stem cells. We're activating our GHK copper peptide, our stem cells. We're turning them all on.
Wow.
And a lot of people in Lyme field have heard a lot of people go in for stem cell injections, right? To beat Lyme. So technology is pretty incredible.
What's this one called?
I'm going to kind of leave it in the fact that if you would like some information, check out my Facebook page.
And you have all the links. Okay.
Got all the links.
Perfect.
Anything you want to know about it. It's a company that's been in business for 20 years. And I thought, how did I not know about this company, right?
Yeah, I've heard of
check
it.
out my
and
page.
I've heard some of the testimonials. It's no joke. I'm so excited and anxious to try these things myself.
Okay, so when you activate your stem cells, it resets all 4,000 of your genes within the first 24 hours. So I said I had an MTHFR mutation, which most people with Lyme deal with one or two of those. My mutation's gone.
Wow.
I don't have it anymore. My genes reset. It's incredible. Absolutely incredible. So if you want to check it out, have questions about it, check out my Facebook page. It's called Lyme and Light Therapy.
Okay. So to sum up some things for the listeners, let's try to hone in on those struggling with Lyme, because it's a lot. And you've been through a lot. And I believe that the process now has been refined exponentially comparatively to what your path has been. So there's simple Lyme literate docs that they could find. Go get some IGeneX lab testing. Then the protocols. You probably got wealth of knowledge via the podcast. Is it Carl Felt? Is that what you said?
Yes, Carl Felt. Dr. K, yes.
Okay, Dr. K. Is he available? Like, where would you have people go to source information, like to treat? Yeah, I mean, obviously.
That's a good question.
Yes.
So I mentioned, I've gotten involved in a lot of Lyme advocacy things.
Yes.
I did the nonprofit. I do the Facebook group. I do the podcast. I meet with Congress once a year to help raise funds for, to ask for funds to help get help in the Lyme community.
Right.
So I do a lot of things, and a few reasons why I do that. One, because I had a bullseye rash and I didn't know what it meant.
Wow.
I need to educate people.
Yes.
If you get a bullseye rash, you have Lyme disease, right? Like,
if you have a
could have
tick
been that simple for me.
on you, like, bag that sucker up. It's worth sending it in and getting it tested.
Yes. So, and so I'll just kind of step through a couple things. So that is why I do what I do.
Okay.
I had a tick bite and I didn't know what it meant. I had a bullseye rash. I didn't know what it meant. Over my 13-year journey, I spent $1 million out of pocket.
Wow.
It was my financial demise.
Yeah.
And that is not okay. Many people say this is a rich person's disease. Absolutely disagree. You do not need to be rich to get well, because trust me, I wasn't rich. I cashed out everything in order to pay for that. And that is a huge problem. And I'm not okay with that.
Right.
I can share tips and strategies with you and avenues to go down to where you can afford to treat yourself and get well.
Right.
So one of the things, yes, we talked about the podcast. The podcast is amazing because all of our guests, besides, like, I've had Armin Labs on there, I've had different doctors on there talking, but every episode that is a guest, somebody conquered Lyme. So they're going to talk to you about how they treated their Lyme, whether they treated themselves or with a doctor, what kind of doctor. And so they'll talk about different detox things that they did.
Yes.
So there's so many tips that you can pick up on, because I'm sure there's a lot of people out there listening that truly can't afford a Lyme literate doctor. They just can't.
Right.
There's things, find sources of places to get things. Parasites are huge.
Yes.
I don't think you can get well from anything without doing a parasite cleanse. I
Right.
had Dr. Todd Watts from Cellcore on my podcast. He talks all about parasites. You can go on his website and order a parasite cleanse. There's just so many tips on there
Yes.
for people to navigate through themselves. And so that's why it's such an incredible resource. I also think, you mentioned IGenics and Armin Labs. They're fantastic labs.
Yeah.
And if you want a lab test that you're going to have to pay for, I do believe insurance is reimbursing some of it nowadays. It's going to cost you some money. My favorite form of testing now is muscle testing.
Wow. Yeah.
You can find somebody in your area that does muscle testing. So you can Google near you muscle testing or kinesiology, or Google integrative medicine,
Right.
and call these different doctors and ask, do you do muscle testing?
Right.
If they ask you questions or what is that, just hang up. They don't know. Don't waste your time. They're going to know what it is. And it's a way for you to go in to your doctor. Dr. K does muscle testing, and it's my favorite thing. And he muscle tests you with Lyme and the co-infection, candida, mold, your hormones, parasites, you name it.
Right.
He can test you and say, oh, yes, this is high, this is low. No, this is gone, this is good.
See,
and adjust your supplements accordingly.
You just touched on something so profound, because as you touched on earlier, kind of like, oh, if you could do things over, or main regret, essentially it's like boiled down to your own intuition, to listen in and to yourself, instead of just being lost in Western medicine, which didn't lead you to anything. In fact, it just magnified the issue because it made it all about you and psychological, whatever. Like, people need to trust themselves more so. And that's where, basic muscle testing, or even simply, like, if you haven't done a parasite cleanse, you're a freaking American, and that's just not part of our culture. Like start there. And these are some basic things that, oh my gosh, like, we would be better off, whether it be joining these groups, listening these things, what resonates, listen, intentionally listen, have a journal in hand, write some things down. You could pair up. You would be better off pairing up your own symptoms and solutions to what has worked for people than just rolling the dice on so much white lab coat. So there are affordable ways for us to really be our own best champions in achieving quality of life and function back. And
yeah.
Wow.
Yep. And so my good friend, the guy I do a lot of Lyme stuff with is JP, and him and I are the ones that created the Lyme Conquerors Mentoring Lyme Warriors Facebook group.
Okay.
And over a many years process, JP started years ago, and then him and I have worked on it, and I've, done my input, my due diligence, and he's created this app, and it's called Crowd Curing. Crowdcuring.com.
Crowd Curing.
Yep. It is a free app. It is like a online dating, but for Lyme disease. So you go in, you create an account. It's going to ask you what your symptoms are. It's going to ask you what you've taken. Did it work? Did it not work? Where you are now. And so let's say that you've got some air hunger going on. You're going to go into the little search bar and type in air hunger. Everybody's profile that dealt with air hunger is going to pop up. And then you can go through and see what they took for air hunger. Did it work? Did it not work?
Oh, wow.
It's pretty incredible. It is pretty incredible. Check it out.
Yes.
It's a great way to track your symptoms. A lot of times we need to track things to figure things out
Right.
in order to make a pivot to get better.
Right.
There's a section on there where you can print everything out that you log in every day and take it right to your doctors. We don't have much time with our doctors. So if you can print out what you register every day, what a time saving thing, right?
Wow. I want to take a second and applaud you, Tanya, and Dr. K and JP, as you mentioned, everyone that's been involved and has sacrificed energy, effort, time, bandwidth, love into all of these things to just help pave the way to wellness and quality of life. Thank you. Thank you, Tanya. Thank you, Dr. K. Thank you, JP. I'm so excited. I feel there's a shift of awareness happening, and we can only do what we could do. Ideally, it'd be nice to see the suffering end, right? We can't shoulder the burdens entirely, but to do what we can, fulfill our purpose here. We're all visiting, whatever we could do. It's a life passion for me, and whatever, I'm at your guys' service too. I look forward to futuristic chats, more connections, just help refine these processes. You're already helping one right here, and I'm just very, very grateful.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, JP and I, we just truly think we're just these two little peons that's going to change the world. We've devoted so many hours, so many years into just giving back and trying to figure it out and trying to help people, because just nobody deserves to go through what so many of us go through in this journey.
Right.
And I just, it's where my passion is. If I can help one person, it's all worth it. There's also something I want to plug in here. People that deal with the emotional trauma, people that long before they got sick, maybe had trauma from their childhood.
Yeah.
That can be back. There's a really good book by Dr. Bradley Nelson. It's called The Emotion Code. Get it on Amazon. Really good book. It walks you through some techniques. It's actually how I learned to do muscle testing on myself. So since using photobiomodulation technology and leveling out my nervous system that way, I don't take anything. But when I did, and I was wanting to know, outside of going to see Dr. K and getting tested, if you want to, take whatever, you can learn how to muscle test yourself for it. So, not all supplements are created equal, right?
Right.
Sometimes you got to pay a little bit more money to get a better quality of a supplement. But you can buy it. This book is going to walk you through how to muscle test yourself for it. And that's going to tell you if that particular bottle of whatever it is good for your body or not. It could be a quality, great herb, but your body DNA, it's a no-go for you. You can learn how to do that. That can play a huge role in your healing.
I'm making a personal note to learn muscle testing, because I do believe in that.
And of course, people can find me on the Lyme Conquerors Mentoring and Lyme Warriors page. They can find me on Lyme and Light Therapy page for the photobiomodulation. Not only does that, activate your stem cells, I have a photobiomodulation technology to reset your nervous system. So many of us with Lyme are in that fight or flight mode.
Yep.
All natural light technology to get you where you need to be. And then you can just reach out to me on Facebook if you want. I'm here. I'm open to. Not a doctor, don't know everything, don't claim to, but I can certainly share my experience and the knowledge that I've learned over my journey for sure. And that's what drives me every day.
The biggest breakthrough I had, I feel, to date was on the emotional, and it was strictly due to seeking that relation and understanding as to the big picture, the why. Why are we here? And seeking closeness with God, Jesus. And it's wild because I was able to just hand all that trauma over, and it just became a huge pivoting point for me in my walk here. And it was interesting, kind of like all these years and kind of that moment you just spoke of earlier in the episode, is to like having a guest on and being like, wow, kind of just relating that shift and, you know, how emotional side of things detrimentally like impacted. Like I've recently, you know, it was kind of with our conversation even the other day. It was like, James, like, I'm going to ask you a tough question. Like, do you, in fact, are you at a place like you want to be well? Right. And it was pretty cool because once again, I found myself on my knees and I was actually giving over the disease. I was giving over all of it. And I'm beyond, like, I'm excited. It's like, I know the healing's already taking place and I'm going to just continue on that path. And it's a forever work. It's just like all these things, like from the diets to figuring things out to trying things out and learning muscle tests, all these, it's just like the gym, right? And this is the only existence we got. So the more we could up our resilience and quality experience here, and like it leads us to a life of love and fulfillment, and it's just beautiful. Like it, and that's where we in amongst. So those that are really struggling with it, it's so wild. Been there. Like it took direct intervention. Literally God putting an individual in a moment in time to be there, to stop me from killing myself, to physically stop me. Or maybe we'll get in details of that futuristic episodes, but there was a lot of things that kept me from doing that. And it's crazy because to go from that place and then now actually foster gratitude for the tough road, this disease I wouldn't wish upon my enemy, and I want to eradicate, you know, from this world, ideally, like there's something to that. So even though I couldn't see that because I wanted to kill myself, but here we are, like on the kind of the other side to an extent where it's so worth it. I just hope somehow that resonates and breathes light into like those darkest moments and keeps people at least taking some type of steps, right? And you got so many tools right here.
Yep. And you just said a couple of really good things that I want to touch on. One is your why. When you're going through any type of a journey, doesn't matter what it is, you need to find your why. Why do you want to get on the other side of this? Why do you need to get well? Why do you need to get through this divorce? Why? Find your why. Find your why. The other thing is God was my saving grace. And I'm not going to lie. There were not many times, many years that he wasn't necessarily my favorite person. I had a lot of arguments with him, you know, very much a Christian, but struggled with, I'm a good person. Like, why are you doing this to me? You know, like that's kind of what you go through when you're just so down and out. And, you know, I truly gave it to him. I did. And I think that's what you need to do, you know, and I don't push religion on people. I don't push politics on people. You do you. But what I am saying is, if he's not your saving grace and you're struggling and you're not getting well, what do you have to lose by finding him and giving it to him? You're already losing.
Right.
You're already losing the battle. What do you got to lose?
Wow.
Give it a try. Give it a try. It might work. You know, God designed our bodies to heal themselves. He did. That's how we are designed by nature. But because of all the toxins in the world, food toxins, environmental toxins, your lotions, your shampoo, all this stuff. Now we got the 5G. We got, right,
Yes.
There's so much.
So much.
And people are toxic.
Mm.
You can have really, really toxic family members in your life that are stopping you from healing.
Mm.
And so we try hard to get rid of our toxins throughout our journey, right? Don't keep letting them come in. And if you've got some family or friends that are toxic, I'm telling you, until you remove them, you won't get well. And if you do, you'll get sick again. That I can promise you. And then the last thing I want to say is that Lyme disease sucks, and I try hard not to put it over this umbrella because it's not Lyme disease. You've got Lyme disease, you've got co-infection,
right.
You've got mold, you've got candida, you've got parasites. Like, it goes on and on and on, right? I just kind of throw it in this Lyme umbrella.
Right.
I don't like you sections. I don't wish it on anyone. It's horrible. But you know what? I believe everything happens for a reason. I believe you and I, met for a reason. And I can tell you this, that there's a reason that I went through that journey. And I believe that God needed me in this world to help those that are struggling with Lyme disease, or simply for any chronic illness. They all have a, similar platform.
Yeah.
And I believe that. And that is why I've taken off on this mission, and that's where I am. That's what I do. And I'll tell you what, that the really good thing that came out of Lyme disease is that I've made some incredible friendships.
Wow.
Incredible friendships through this journey.
Wow. And
so find your why, give it to God, give your body the right tools to heal itself. And that's, when I talked about the sun healing, with the vitamin D, the tool I have available with photobiomodulation, it's a tool to heal yourself. Be positive. Get rid of the toxins in your life, including toxic people, and know that you can get well. Know that you can get well, and you will get well.
Right.
And when you do, be sure to come find me, because I want you as a guest on my podcast, Integrative Lyme Solutions. Yay!
I love that, Tanya. That's great. I don't even want to embellish. I want folks to sit and just let those words resonate with them. So with that being said, I'm anxious to end this, to get those links to check all these amazing tools so people can organize their toolbox, so we're effectively moving the needle in the right direction. And there's a slew here that you and your comrades, warriors, have established for everyone. These groups, it's amazing to hear you're out there addressing Congress. I mean, this is a true definition of being a Lyme warrior right here. And I'm ever so grateful, and I'm excited to utilize these and dive in. I feel it. There's going to be more breakthrough to be had on my end and for so many. So folks, be sure to check out all the links on this one. Thank you so much for joining us today, and more to come. So stay tuned. God bless and take care.